Joining us now, entrepreneur and New York Times best-selling author with his new book, The Thank You Economy, Gary Vaynerchuk. Very good to have you on the show.
Thanks, guys.
What is a thank you economy? You write about your success with dealing with this, developing this concept.
The word economy is a big word, so
yes,
I'm not just throwing it out lightly. I think anybody who's living in the world in 2011 realizes things have changed.
Yeah.
Whether you're texting a trillion times a day, or you're using iPads, or you're watching TV with 2 other devices. And I think that in this new word-of-mouth economy, in the world of Twitter and Tumblr and Facebook, your social equity.
What's Tumblr?
Oh, Tumblr is the new thing. It's the new thing.
Don't talk about it. That's just going to confuse
Got it. Don't go deep. So don't go into Quora. Don't go into Quora and Instagram. No Yobongo. Okay, got it.
Keep on keeping
on.
The
world's changing very rapidly, and the way we communicate and the context of our relationships based on these micro statements is changing the way we vote, is changing the way we buy things. If we have a relationship and you say, this orange juice is delicious, I may look at that product differently. That's not something you would have picked up the phone and called me about 10 years ago. And so this economic impact of the media infrastructure and the context of that is huge.
I'm sorry, Mickey. He's got a great personal story, too. You started working in your father's liquor store, right? And now you're like the wine expert of the world. You got your own media company. What did you learn in your dad's liquor store that you're applying now?
I learned from an early story. A guy comes in, has a coupon that we just sent out and said, this is, $4.99. I just bought this last week for $5.99. Can I have a refund? And the manager at the time said, no, you just have to buy more at $4.99. And I remember being 16 and looking up and saying, that didn't feel right. And the guy leaves, and I thought he'd never come back. He comes back a month later and says, I'm never shopping here again, to my dad. And I just remember thinking, what would that look like today? That guy not only would be not coming back to the store, but he'd walk out and tweet in Facebook status, and maybe it's not just one person who doesn't shop in the store anymore, it's 10, and that's something I'm passionate about.
So does this mean the thank you economy is like this? You go in and you buy something that comes to, say it's a food coffee place.
Sure.
507.
Yeah.
And you're looking for change, and someone says, no, the 5's okay. You leave for the 7. You go into an Apple store. Someone right away at the Apple store, can I help you and everything like that? You want to go back to these places. It's
even further than that, guys. There's so much data out there right now. How about this? How about if we have a great wine customer at winelibrary.com, and we know, because we're following that customer on Twitter, that he's a huge Jay Cutler fan. We've watched him talk about Jay Cutler for a month, and when he's buying wine at a rapid pace and we're happy with him as a customer, we send him a Jay Cutler signed jersey from eBay saying, thanks for being a customer. There is so much more context. We always hear you like that, right?
That's good.
I promise you, somebody sent me a Jets jersey 8 years ago. I'm not shopping anywhere else. And when you get into the aisle and something's 19 cents less than what you buy normally, you may go for that now. But if you have a context of a relationship, they helped you get your kid into nursery school. Businesses are on the verge of being humanized, and it's coming.
So what you're saying is not only are you being watched from every angle, and every little thing that might happen in your store or business or website could end up being seen by many more people than you'd hoped, like the guy who didn't get the buck back from the coupon, but that there's also tremendous opportunity to be more small town.
To be more small town rules, to be more human. I just think what was very old is new again. I literally believe this. Social media scares everybody. It's so new.
I know.
But it's funny, the DNA of our grandparents, I think, is more in place to be successful in social media today than the people that are around.
It's funny. Andy Grove, the famous CEO of Intel, used to talk about this, how, that with all this customization and knowing stuff about your customers, it really is like going back to a small town pharmacy where when you walk in, the guy behind the counter says, hey, Mike, look what I got this new thing in here. I know what you like, and they can make recommendations to you that they actually know their customers in a way that, like Walmart or Walgreens or whatever doesn't necessarily know you. This social media allows you to do that.
Anybody who follows business knows it goes up, it goes down, it goes up. We just have lived through the huge big box store era, right? You walk in, you're not known, it's all price. One-on-one marketing is here, but the Procter & Gamble's and the Nikes of the world, they're scared of this. It's not just slap $3 million on a Super Bowl ad. This is putting your dollars against humans. And most people don't think this is scalable. I'm very countercultural on this. I think people do scale.
So it's
part of it, as you were explaining it, is sort of this hunger for socialization that's been missing for 10 or 15 years. Is more people move, they don't know who lives upstairs, they don't know who lives next door, they get divorced. And this hunger for socialization can be done this way.
You used to walk down the street and know that Ricky just graduated from high school and congratulated their parents. Through status updates now, we know that. This is very interesting to me. It's really turned back the clock with gadgets and gizmos and apps.
It's going to be scary, too. Like, if you say you're running a restaurant.
Sure.
So I go on Zagat in New York. There are how many thousand restaurants?
Sure.
And I go to a certain neighborhood. I'm scanning through. I don't quite know exactly where I want to go. You go through and you read the first review. Worst dining experience of my life. That's a snap move. I move on to the next one.
Well, listen, and then there's things like Yelp, and more importantly, I think the Zagats of the world are going to lose some of their power, because to me what's more important is if somebody that I know in my social graph says that. If Pants96 says that, well, I don't know that person, and they may have a vendetta. But if my uncle says that, and I can see that, that starts impacting
I do think
what's
Yelp?
Yelp is Zagat 2.0.
And there's a company now that's actually trying to do a social search engine, right? That's going to be totally based on your social graph. I can't remember the woman from who did Flickr.
Yeah, well, you mean Hunch, Katerina Fake?
Yes, Katerina Fake. Yes,
they're wonderful, and Chris Dixon, her partner. But let me tell you who's going to be doing this. It's a small company called Google. And so what I don't think people understand is that Google dropped a bomb the other day. You know, it's been SEO and all this other stuff, and I've always been very down on that stuff. It's going to be based on your social graph. If I link to a resort in Maui and you search Google for Maui resorts and you're following me on Twitter, you're going to see that on the first page. This is a calm before the social media storm. This is 2000 all over again. The internet came out, it had a lot of hype. The market crashed, people didn't see returns, and people left it. Borders didn't believe in it. They gave Amazon the infrastructure. They're out of business. Blockbuster didn't believe in it. They let Netflix come in and put them out of business. Social media has had a lot of hype the last 2 years. The next 3 are going to be soft because people are not going to figure out the ROI, and then people are going to be put out of business, and huge businesses are going to blow up and explode and take over in 2013, 14, 15.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what's happening.
Wow.
You just blew everyone's mind.
Okay, wait.
I'll tell you, you want to be hooked into Barnacle on the travel recommendations. That's all I can say to all of America.
True.
Get yourself signed up because if Barnacle's been to a resort someplace, you want to go to that
Exactly.
resort.
I'm following you now.
I'm curious about something you say in terms of the 2008 election and Obama's use of social media, which you say was not so good. Is that possible?
Listen,
groundbreaking.
It was a starting point, but it's definitely not the humanization of politics that I see. You know, I know that if I'm running somebody's campaign in 2 years or 4 years in the social side, that 100% they are going to do a dramatically more one-on-one engagement. They're going to sit in front of Ustream for 9 hours and just answer questions town hall style, scalable and real. So it was a starting point, but it's not this great, oh my God, this is the way it's always going to be. It is a very early example of where things are going.
Before we let him go.
Yeah.
Best $20 bottle of Cabernet in California right now. Where am I going?
Yeah, you know, I would move you in a different direction. I would say the left bank of Bordeaux right now for $20 is better value than Napa.
All right. There you go.
Yeah.
We need you to come back. WineLibrary.com, by the way. Often to give us a sense of where things are going. That is wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I live it. I'm in the trenches.
Though. I've got to now go online and go all these sites that are apparently replacing Twitter or moving on.
Well, they're not replacing. There's just so many more things coming.
There's so many more. Great. Thank you. The book is The Thank You Economy. Gary Vaynerchuk, we appreciate it.